This episode is sponsored by FrontrunnerNewJersey.com, your digital publication that covers South Jersey, and Fruition Life Media, preserving family legacies through video tributes, and Creative Content on Demand, your multimedia marketing company for all businesses. Hey everybody, welcome again to another great episode of BizTalk Unlocked. Today we have our special guest, none other than the CEO and president of LAEDA,
Ray Lamboy.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So before we jump into our questions, I just want to say LAEDA has been such a great resource for our business, Creative Content on Demand. And it's been a blessing because my wife was able to take the course. Talk a little bit about that.
I was able to take the course during the pandemic. It was session 89, and it was virtual. And it was called the Women's Business Academy. And we were able to connect with other women business owners and just learn about the ins and outs, starting up. Some people were, in the beginning stages. Some people were already business owners. But the program was so great that it just kind of flourished and helped us hone our skills in this entrepreneurial journey that we're on currently. So with Creative Content on Demand.
What we did end up learning and taking away from LAEDA was how to be a more efficient business and function and operate and create a longer lasting bridge for our business to grow and, build something for our family to continue to have.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be the president and CEO of LAEDA, and what inspired you to work in community economic development?
Yeah, well, my story starts with my father and his father, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My father started a furniture store chain, a television station, a newspaper, food distribution center, and as a child, I watched as he built these businesses over time, and that instilled in me the desire to be an entrepreneur. I went to school at Rutgers University in New Brunswick. When I graduated, I made the strategic decision to come back and work for the family business, and that was called Lamboy Furniture. Up until that time, we were a retail furniture store. My dad started here in Camden in 1970, so I was 1 year old when he started the business. When I took over the business, it was in 2005. And we actually 1992. My timeline's off there. But what I recognized from where we started to where we were was that the retail business, furniture business, was really difficult here in the city of Camden. So I worked to convert the business into a furniture making business, furniture factory. We're making bedroom furniture, entertainment centers, kitchen cabinets, and the like. Fast forward to 2005, my father was preparing to retire, and we decided to start liquidating some of his assets. So we sold the business, and I went off to took about a year off, figure out what my next step was, and opportunity presented itself to come to work for LAEDA. As their Main Street manager, I was working in commercial district revitalization work, and then finally became CEO in 2008. And the reason why I got into this work is, I looked at the condition of my family business here on Broadway. And when my dad first started out in 1970, Broadway was 17 blocks of store after store after store.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we sold the business, we were the last of 5 buildings on a block that had 50 buildings.
Wow.
They were all the. So I said, how can I create the experience that I would have loved to have as a business owner, and really support the commercial corridors, the communities that are here in the city of Camden. So I brought that perspective to the work here at LAEDA.
Wow. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's some great history right there. Yeah. LAEDA has been around since 1987, right? How have you seen the organization evolve over the years, especially in terms of its impact of the city of Camden in South Jersey?
So, LAEDA was first started back in 1987 with the unique value proposition. We all have heard that term before, revitalizing the city through community-based startups. And basically, if we can get enough people who live in the city to start businesses, we can start to see the city start to revitalize. And what we encountered early on was, it's great to train people, but they need a good marketplace to go into, and they need real estate to go into. And if you know anything about Camden back in the late '80s, early '90s, a lot of the real estate here in the city is dilapidated or abandoned. So it's one thing as a business owner, an entrepreneur, to put a security deposit down on a lease, have a grand opening, and start your bakery. It's another proposition to actually buy a building, redevelop that building, and do those things. So LAEDA started working in that space to buy, acquire, and redevelop commercial real estate in the city of Camden. So over the 38 years, we've redeveloped about 50,000 square feet of retail and office space. And then the other piece was marketplace. I couldn't ask somebody to take their life savings. Maybe they saved up $10,000 to start a shoe store. I can't force them to open up a shoe store in City of Camden if the local market won't support them. So they were leaving the city to go to other communities that had better marketplaces. So we started looking at the National Trust for Historic Preservation Main Street model. So we went about looking at that commercial district revitalization work to really connect the commercial corridors here in the city to the region. So, you're familiar with the city of Camden. We have all those waterfront attractions. And back before COVID hit, about 3 million visitors came to the city of Camden every year. Whether they're going to a concert, they're going to the aquarium. Back in the day with the Campbell's Field when we had a baseball field here.
Oh yeah.
So our goal is how do we get those visitors to go to Federal Street for dinner at San Lucas or Lupita's before they go to a concert, or stop at Corinne's place on their way home from a concert and have a nice meal. So we created a program called the Dine Around program. And the goal there was to really feature different restaurants around the city, different ethnic food restaurants, really cultivate a cultural tourism kind of vibe, and get visitors to go to these restaurants and be our ambassadors in the region.
LAEDA focuses on empowering people and revitalizing communities. Can you share a few success stories of individuals or businesses that have benefited from your programs?
Sure, yeah. I think one of our great success stories, recent success stories, April and James Ward.
Well, thank you.
You guys are rock stars out there. I remember going to Campbell's to Camden High for a job fair, and I'm sitting up on the stage to be part of a panel. I was like, I recognize these guys, and you guys are out there doing your thing, and you got to
Yes.
talk and find out that you've got full time into the business and everything.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we do our training, we have our last class, and April knows about the last class. I always encourage the entrepreneurs that take this class. I use the term "do your push-ups" because I can teach you every aspect of business, but unless you go and do your push-ups or put what you've learned to work,
Right.
it's just words, right?
Yeah.
If it all it took to be a millionaire was to take in more information, we'd all be millionaires, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The key is to put it to work.
Mm.
So that's the one thing that I would just say honor you guys in putting what you learned to work, but all of our clients, putting what we've taught them to work. And we have clients that are just starting out. Maybe they make candles on the weekends and they want to monetize that to make a little extra money to maybe move into a bigger apartment or pay tuition for a child to go to school or buy a car that works, right? And then moving them up the ladder into more advanced quick start series training where they can learn more about business planning and marketing and credit. And then finally moving into the entrepreneurial development training program in the Women's Business Academy, where they can really take what we've taught them and really look at how they can become a business owner rather than a self-employed person.
Yeah. So my next question is your mission statement that's aimed to help those who face barriers in starting and operating businesses, right? What are some of the most common challenges you see, and how does LAEDA help people overcome them?
I think that one of the key parts of our role in this story that we're working on with entrepreneurship is a lot of our clients are the first ones in their families starting a business.
That's right.
And they don't have a father, like I have a father who I could go for advice. They don't have an uncle and aunt to say, hey, listen, I'm looking at this lease. I'm not sure. Hey, let me take a look at it. So we play that role of that aunt or uncle to give them good advice. Not only do we give you good training, but we're here to field any questions. I mean, I've gone to people when they're about to rent a space, and I go and walk the space with them, and I ask them really hard questions. Why here? If I'm reading your business plan, you said most of your customers are down in Blackwood, but you're looking at a space here in Pennsauken. Like, why?
Right.
Right? And it's like, well, I got a good price on it. It's, $500. It's posted down. So really providing that advice and that direction to help them make good decisions.
Yeah.
Too many times we have clients, with that phrase, ready, fire, aim, right? They just run in, they just start a business, they run into a wall, and then they come to us. They've already expended their capital. They spent a lot of money, just trying to operate the business, and they come to us and say, "Help me dig out of this hole." And it's like, I wish you had come to me first, right? And that's the key. Is like information is key. Inform and educate yourself before you start anything.
Mhm.
And we have three things that we look for that we encourage people to have: managerial level experience in the industry you want to go into.
Mm.
And the reason why we say that is typically at a manager role, you've done some production, right? Whether you're a manager in a bakery or you're a manager in film production, you've done some baking, right? You've also done some sales, right? Out the front counter, right? But you've also learned how to administer the business as well.
Mm.
And
Mm.
bringing that knowledge to the table is what we look for our ideal client, who then we can help them put their ideas in a business plan to get their business off the ground. The other piece is collateral and capital. There's no such thing as a no money down business startup. Okay. It may not be your money, but you might get somebody else's money. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to put money to get the business off the ground. And with COVID and all the grants that went out there, before COVID, I challenged people: you find me a grant for a startup, for a startup business, and I'll give you, $100. Nobody could do it. And now after COVID, everybody's, oh, I heard this grant, I heard that grant, and so on. So but at the end of the day, you need capital to get a business off the ground. And it's all relevant to the business idea, right? You would think if I had $3 million in cash, I could own a McDonald's franchise. But actually, you need $10 million in cash to own a McDonald's franchise.
Wow.
So really, it's not enough, right? But if you come to me and you say, "Hey, Ray, I have $5,000 and I want to open up a restaurant," we always look for a way to help the business owner to get started, right?
Mhm.
So maybe a restaurant is not in your sights, because to start a restaurant, you need about $25,000 to $50,000 to do it right, right? But maybe you get a little food trailer and start
Small.
selling off of the
Mhm.
trailer, a little small truck or a hot dog push cart kind of thing, and start building your business that way, building up capital, saving money, and then get your business off the ground. So we always look at the capital, collateral. If you need a loan to get the business off the ground, that's a key thing, and that knowledge, that expertise. Those are the three key things that
Oh,
we look for.
thank you for sharing that. Wow. Yeah.
Well, our next question is: how has LAEDA's role in Camden and South Jersey changed over the years as the city has evolved? And what are some of the biggest changes you observed in the community and its business climate?
Yeah, I mean, when you've been here that the longest that has been, you see different communities come and grow. And when my father's era, the Puerto Rican community were all into the furniture stores and the corner stores and the jewelry stores, and then they graduated to insurance brokers and so on. And then another community came behind. The Dominican community, the Asian community bought those corner stores and developed those stores and so on. But in the city of Camden, it's always been a challenge of the 30,000-foot changes, like the New Jersey Grow program, and the grassroots changes. Our goal is to connect the dots, right?
Mhm.
One of the great programs that we've developed in partnership with the city is the Buy Camden First initiative, and that is a very deliberate, practical effort to connect small businesses to the large corporations and institutions here in the city of Camden. One of our program coordinators, Mimi, she's the glue that keeps it all together. She's the matchmaker. So if we get a call from Subaru and they say, "Hey, we're looking for a florist to sell flowers in our cafeteria the week before Mother's Day," Do you know anybody? We go into our Buy Canada First website. We'll look for our Canada Verify visits, and we'll make that connection. And whatever it takes to make that sale, we make it. And the florist that we've been working with over the past few months has done a great job, and her business is growing just by making that connection.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's an example of just how our role has changed over time. Before we were just training, then we started doing real estate, then we started doing commercial district revitalization. Now we're starting to really see how we can connect the dots between
Yeah.
these large 30,000 foot efforts and really connecting them to the grassroots.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing there. So you talked about that particular program, but can you walk us through the type of programs LAEDA offers to small business owners and inspire entrepreneurs? How do these programs provide practical hands-on support?
All right. So like when I was telling you earlier about our turning your hobby into a business and entrepreneurship development training program, that's what I call our continuum of business education.
Hmm.
So when you go to our website and you read all the different programs we have, you'll submit an application, right? And we'll review that application, really figure out where the best starting point is for you, right? So if you have very little experience, but you have a product that you're working on, we might say, hey, why don't you take our turning your hobby into a business course? But maybe you're running a little side hustle and you're doing pretty good at it, right? Every weekend from April to October, you're out there selling whatever that is you're making, and you've generated some good revenue, and you're curious about what it would take to transition from a side hustle to a main squeeze. How do I make this side hustle my main squeeze? So Quick Start Series is one of those courses, right? Let's take your experience, let's look at what you're doing, and let's put a pathway forward for you to go ahead and go full time. And then the Entrepreneurial Development Training, like I said, is that program that takes you the rest of the way. Here's the business plan. Here's the setup. Here's the instructions for how you're going to set up this business. And in between each of those stops, we encourage our clients to set goals and meet with one of our counselors to really build their expertise in three areas: the sales and marketing, we call them pillars: sales and marketing pillar, finance and administration pillar, and product development and production pillar, right? So how are you selling that product? Now, if you go from making, selling 30 units to 200 units, well, how does your production process look like, right? And it really applies to any, like, production, making candles, because as your production goes up, you got to make sure your quality is there. So are you able to scale that production process that you have today? And we work with them and say, let's look at this. Maybe you need to adjust that kind of thing. And then the middle is the finance and administration. Really, the key to growing a business, and this is something that we find, one of the challenges we find, especially when businesses are of a certain size and they're ready to take it to the next level, they don't keep a good set of books. They don't keep a good history of the growth of their business. To tell that story to a bank, to say, hey, when I started this business, we only made 5,000 a year. Here are my books. Here's my tax returns. Now look at us 5 years now. We're at 85, 100,000 in sales now. And we just need a loan to get this piece of equipment or be able to buy this facility, and we can double those sales in the next 2 years. But unfortunately, they don't keep a good set of books. They commingle their personal, I mean, all kinds of nightmares that we run into. But good set of books, a good record of your growth of your business is priceless when you're trying to grow a business into the next level.
Wow,
Wow,
wow.
that
And
was
you know
good.
what? I have to admit, and shout out to Jamila because she was a great
Yeah.
source to, help
Help us with
us
business
navigate
plan.
once the course was finished to help us get everything organized even more so. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that program, how y'all have that set up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one of LAEDA's key initiative is offering access to financial and business education. So why is this type of education so crucial for small business owners, especially in emerging communities?
Yeah. So back in 1990, when LAEDA was, rolling with the program, credit was not easily accessible, right? You couldn't get your hands on a credit card, right? And we found more and more people maybe they didn't have any credit, but they didn't have bad credit. And it was easier for us to finance them, get them financed from a bank or CDFI, because they're willing to take a chance. They had the expertise, they had the collateral, and so on. But then fast forward 24 or 30 years, credit is everywhere and everybody has hurt credit. So one of the key things that we observed, I want to say 5 years ago, was more and more people were coming with great ideas with a little bit of capital, but they just didn't have the credit to get that financing they need to go forward. Now, your credit impacts a lot. Some people think, oh, I just need credit if I need a loan. But the reality is, credit affects your insurance rates. Credit affects your terms with your suppliers. Credit, your rent is affected by that. So, not only getting a loan, but all those other aspects. So we created what's called the Smart Start Capital Fund, which is more of an education program than it is a capitalization program. It's an affinity lending group program where we have groups of entrepreneurs come together, um, and we provide the capital to each of them. They're micro loans or nano loans, I call them. $1,500 to get started, or $2,500 if you're already in business. But the key with that program is we take you through the process of applying for a commercial loan, so you can start to see the gaps in your records that hold you back from getting that application finished. But we also, once you accept it and you get the loan, we work with you on what's the best way to deploy that capital. Do you want to put it on bills, or do you want to buy a laptop or a piece of equipment that's going to grow your business into the future? But the key part of the Smart Start Capital was our credit counseling portion of that program. So you sit down with a credit counselor, you go through your credit report, the what is this, what does that mean, so on and so forth. Then they help you put together a credit action plan to work on for that during that first year that you're in the program, to really look at, do I need to address or send a letter to a creditor? Do I need to figure out why this is on my report? All those different things that you find here about your credit reports. And the goal is, again, to see their credit go up, because the loans that we have and the payments that they make are reported to the credit bureaus. So they're able to build their credit with that program to position them for going to a commercial bank or CDFI to get an individual loan. In that program, when we ran it for a few years, we had about 8 or 9 people go on to work to go to commercial banks and access over $1 million in capital.
Wow.
So it does work.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's amazing how y'all bridge that gap for small
Right.
business owners to, get funding
Yeah.
and capital. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And a huge challenge for many people. Talk about LAEDA's partnership with the community stakeholders, and can you tell us more about how these partnerships work and how they contribute to revitalization's efforts?
yeah, sure. I think one of the core tenets of our strategy when it comes to community development or community economic development is working with those who know the community best, right? So we go, went to Atlantic City. We work with an organization called Chelsea EDC, and they are the experts in their community. So their community is home to the new South Jersey industry headquarters, home to the new Stockton University expansion. So they had this unique opportunity, right, of like all these new customers coming into their neighborhood, whether it was housing or business and so on. So we actually went in there bearing gifts. We said, hey, listen, we have these gifts of entrepreneurship. How can we use this skill set to advance your strategy, right? Similarly, here on in Haddon Avenue here in Camden, working with Parkside Business Community and Partnership, or PBCIP, they wanted to partner with us to really see how they can get their residents positioned to be entrepreneurs. We did some evaluation analysis, and we recognized that in order to support a brick and mortar store, you had to have a business of a certain scale, and that the residents of that particular community were just so far away from zero to 10,000 a month in revenue to cover your overhead and your employees, that we said, what can we do to help solve this problem? So we work with PBCIP and entrepreneurs Curate Noir, Nika and Alvin Corbett, to create a retail incubator on Haddon Avenue. And the goal of that incubator is to help residents start in a safe, organized setting, build their skills there, and then as their sales grow, move into a brick and mortar location on the avenue. So that's just one example of how we would creatively utilize what we do to help the communities we work with.
If there were one thing you wish more people understood about the barriers faced by small business in underserved communities, what would it be?
I think, you know, sometimes people may mistake, you know, economic struggle with lack of will
Mm.
or lack of talent or lack of creativity. And one of the key factors of what we do is to open those doors to opportunity that may otherwise be closed,
Mm.
right? You know, getting our clients to the table in their community to have a seat at the table, how this community is going to revitalize. Where in the past, maybe they're not invited to those tables, those kinds of things. Um, but recognizing that, you know, our communities are assets, not to be communities to grow with as opposed to push aside, right? So our goal is to make sure that we position as many of our entrepreneurs to be successful in their communities so that they rise with investment in their community rather than get washed away. So
I like that. So, as the president and CEO, what keeps you motivated every day? And what drives your passion for community development and empowering others?
you know, I'm really, really big on just transformation. You know, send me into a overgrown yard with a lawnmower and a weed whacker and a machete, and I just get satisfaction to see transformation, right? So that's what drives me when I'm working in a community to see a business owner who maybe was struggling is now thriving, right? Or a commercial corridor that's looks like a ghost town now has people walking the streets and going into those businesses and the like. I think what drives me the most with LAEDA is to create that experience that I wish I had had when I had my own business.
Um, for our audience who are aspiring entrepreneurs or community leaders looking to make a difference, what advice would you give them as they start their journey?
Get information. Hold your powder. Do not do not fire your capital until you've got a business plan in place. That's the key. That's our doctrine here, a business plan.
Got it. Got
So
it.
no ready, fire, aim, right? You gotta ready,
Mhm.
aim, fire, right?
Yes.
So the key advice is take it easy. Let's sit down. Let's come up with a plan because
Right.
you know we've gone. I've been at this a long time, and I've had people go through our 9 week course and come to the conclusion that the business that they planned it's not going to work,
Mm.
and that's okay for us. I'd rather you realize it doesn't work and save your money and put it to another adventure than to go out there and fail, right? So that's your biggest insurance policy is a business plan, a well thought out and researched business plan. And that's what we can do for you here at LAEDA.
All right. Well, our last question for you is where can listeners learn more about LAEDA programs and how they can get involved or access your service?
So www.laeda.com, LAEDA.com is our website. So if you go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, uh, X or Twitter, X, whatever, just put LAEDA 1987 and you'll find us. Our greatest asset are our alumni because they know what it takes to be successful in our program and in business. So when we get a referral from an alumni, we know that this person is the real deal. So
Wow.
if you're alumni of LAEDA and you're watching this video, please tell your friends and family about what we do and send those that you believe will be successful.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
That was good.
We really appreciate you taking the time and talking with us today.
Thank you for having me.